In South Africa, I could literally flood the business coaching market and take every business coach in South Africa off the table within the next 6 months. Easy. And I've got the funds to back doing it. I would just, for a 4 to 12 month window, go and give what everybody else charges for, I'll give it away for free. Most businesses struggle because they start low and they charge low. And they have to do massive volumes in order to go and get the money up. But they don't have enough money to sponsor the marketing and enough of a brand name just to like market with in order to go and get that volume through. So ultimately they fail. They don't have the input to be able to get the output. And that's where most businesses fail or just struggle forever. If you want to go think about where to start, would be tailor-made or tailor-designed for affluent buyers where they're not having to buy off the shelf. They can buy one-offs. Right, the one-off extension to the house, as opposed to the out-of-the-box, like build a sunroom and stick it on your house. You know, there's a great story of Richard Branson when he launched Virgin Coke in the UK to take on Coca-Cola. And he was so chuffed because they sold out in 2 weeks and all of the shops were empty. But he couldn't work out, there was a fundamental problem, is there was never any Virgin Coke empty cans like as litter on the floor or in bins or just around, right? But you'd see Coke bottles and Fanta bottles and whatever else just lying about. There was never it. So it's like, there's something wrong here. Like we've selling out, we've produced all of this quantity. It's great. We've got money coming in. There's more orders, but there's no Coke cans as litter, only to find out that Coca-Cola had just gone in and bought all of it. And then when the shelves were empty, had just got the stores to fill the empty shelves with Coca-Cola. You see, even as a billionaire, he'd been outplayed by a bigger billionaire who's got more bucks than you. And when you sell cheap products, that's exactly what happens. Like in South Africa, I could literally flood the business coaching market and take every business coach in South Africa off the table within the next 6 months. Easy. And I've got the funds to back doing it. I would just, for a 4 to 12 month window, go and give what everybody else charges for, I'll give it away for free. So that nobody else could pay for that. Like anybody who said, I want 5,000 rand for that, the customer would be like, well, why would I give you 5 grand when I can have exactly the same thing for nothing? And within 12 months, I'd then start charging the people, but I'd have bankrupted every business coach in the country. If I wanted to, I literally could afford to do that tomorrow. And I'm not bragging, it's just maths. We could collapse some of the business schools quite easily at the same time. Wouldn't be hard to do, they don't have much money. And we'd just give everything they do away for nothing. And when they can't breathe and can't exist anymore, we'd then start charging the customer base. But I'd have literally the monopoly on that. So the point I'm making is, be careful being the cheapest because you will always be outplayed, right? It's so easy to outplay you. The best place to be is selling to high, medium earners in the largest volumes possible, an excellent product or service that's boast-worthy, that's got a degree of tailorization within it, uniqueness within it. That's the best place to start because you can charge a product and have the highest margins. That gives you the ability to cash flow without borrowing and bankroll your business to actually reinvest. And if we look at KingdomPreneur as a great example, I'm the highest charging one-to-one coach in South Africa by quite a way. Don't care what other people charge. I know I charge more than everybody else. That allows me the capital to grow a business that's gone from 1 staff member to 7 or 8 staff members in 12 months. It's allowed me to launch internationally. It's allowed me to do an affiliate stroke franchise program. All of that has allowed me to do that. If I'd have just been charging, I don't know, 5 or 10 grand an hour or something small for my time, I'd be struggling just like all the other coaches and I wouldn't have the cash to go and do that. The answer is maybe be like Robin Hood. Sell to the rich and use the profit to serve the poor. Most people sell just enough to pay their own bills. No money to market, no money to scale, no money to hire. But of course there's not. You're selling the wrong thing to the wrong people at the wrong price. You don't need any money to start a business. You need no money to start a business. You need commitment, undistracted focus. So pick a thing and do the thing, but that's singular. Don't get distracted till you can do $10 million a month. No, 10 million rand a month, sorry. So $1 million a month. Don't get distracted.
Doing the one thing.
One thing. And get good enough at it, right? It's time in the game. Jesus did like God, 3.5 years, good, move on. Most people do thing, few months, ooh, look at that over there. And then they go over there, And then they read that stupid verse in Ecclesiastes that says you should diversify and whatever else, forgetting that Solomon wrote that for his son, who's going to inherit the kingdom of Israel, and $40 billion US, and that was 3,000 years ago, right? The diversification advice was for the inheritor of a kingdom with a cash net worth of over $40 billion. I don't have $40 billion, nowhere close. So I need to be focused. Like, the advice has to fit within the context of the giver of the advice and who they were giving it to. And so stop everything else, like suck it up, do the thing. And time in the game will ensure that you get good enough at the thing and you get to know enough customers. But it's literally time in the game is half of the game. It's like you don't get to become a marathon runner by going for a jog for 100 meters a day. Don't work. Time in the game, right? Miles under your legs would be the thing in running, right? That's the, yes, of course you need to vary it, look after yourself. There's a whole bunch of strategy behind it, but really it still involves a lot of running. So go run. Don't be distracted. There's a wonderful book called Outwitting the Enemy by Napoleon Hill. It's a fantastic book, and it talks about all of the enemy's traps, all of the devil's traps. Distraction, being overly ambitious at a time where you should be soul-focused, overly large self-version of self-worth, not enough humility, all that stuff, all plays out. And then I think the last thing is to be realistic. If you're gonna try and launch a whiskey business, as an example, unless you're doing it in Scotland, you're probably going to start on a back foot. If you're not part of a historical whiskey business in Scotland or whiskey family in Scotland, you're also on a back foot in Scotland, by the way. But then the amount of time in the game that you're going to need to go and compete with a Scottish whiskey, it's going to be large, right? You're going to have to dominate local markets with an average product to start with, because it takes a long time to get whiskey to mature, or good whiskey to mature anyway. And it's going to take a long time to get there. You've got to reality check the idea. Then what does the export market look in terms of sending it overseas, for the outside of the country? Because ultimately most successful alcohol brands are exported everywhere on earth. You think we know about whiskey because we're in South Africa now. It comes from Scotland to South Africa, right? It's exported. Our South African wine is exported. Most of the sales and most of the money comes from it being exported. And so you've got to go and play that with an open mind, right? In terms of, this is the journey to travel. And if I'm not prepared to be seen and grow big enough with that and push hard enough and suck up the lack of profit long enough, then I've got to be happy with selling my whiskey at farmers markets and having it in a few bars, and whatever money I can make is good enough to feed my family and pay my rent, then that has to be good enough. Or it's a different long journey.